Welcome to Cannoncast, the Cannonball Festival podcast where you can meet the artists of the festival one-on-one. Cannonball is a performing arts festival in Philadelphia and is a hub of the Philadelphia Fringe Festival. We present new and groundbreaking work from local, national, and international artists working in dance, theater, circus, and other performing arts. Today, I speak with Ben Grinberg and Rhonda Bonfante about their show, Helpful Hints for Strength and Health for Busy People.
Thank you for that word, experience. It's imagination. Been an experience working. Arduous. And fun. A lot of fun, too. We've been working for a while. That's my,
Oh my.
of course, that's my phone. Just, thank you. Seriously? Can only imagine who it was.
Where did you get this number?
Exactly.
Did you call this number?
Oh my gosh. So process. That's a big word, and it's been a lot of different processes. For me, right now, strangely enough, I think I'm thinking more about the theater aspect of it than any other thing, which is really weird because that sounds like I'm not thinking about the acro. I think the acro is just that's the sea I'm floating in. It's always going to be there. I can't get rid of it. I can't, it's there. And so I'm just not thinking about it. It's like, so I'm working on textures and stuff like that. Also on the acro, but it's taken on some level. Backburn is not the right word at all, but it's just embedded in now, and so I don't have much choice.
What's the this is maybe a silly question, but I've been asking a lot of folks this question as there's so many multidisciplinary shows. What is sort of the difference between focusing on the acro versus focusing on the theater?
Well, for me, because I don't come from acro at all. So, I mean, that's the very first thing that I think about, because it's the hardest thing for me for a gazillion reasons. I mean, you're looking at me, so you don't have to, I'm not going to like list. But this is a podcast, and I can be anyone I want.
That's right.
So
I think that acro is like sort of one of the forms of virtuosity in the thing that we're making, and it is also one that takes a lot more time to learn than it's a skill, it's a craft, and we are learning specific skills. So I feel like when we started working, many of our early rehearsals for this process were just in a park, literally just training the acrobatics, and then eventually, you know, from a process of just learning and trying, like knowing what skills are possible and then using those in a sequence eventually. But like really, I think, yeah, it to me, it operates on a little bit of a different time scale. I think like you could devise a show that is theatrical in like 3 or 4 weeks, but I think if you're interested in learning another acro partner and figuring out skills you can do together that are in some way impressive, then like the time scale is just really different. You spend shorter periods of time, 90 minutes, 2 hours, several days a week over a longer period of time.
well, and that's how things started. I mean, we did something together in January that was for dedicated to David Bowie week,
Oh, yes.
and
That was so fun.
and that was, I mean, looking back on it, it was like, oh my gosh. But like, if I really think about it, no, every rehearsal was like, oh my gosh. And because I tell you why, and this is really a Ben thing, because he really, I mean, that piece, besides like, well, there were some very acrobatic moments in that piece that took hours to like, I'm not going to say perfect, but be able to present in front of on a stage. And and also it was like a 3-minute piece. So there's a difference between doing a 45-minute show and a 3-minute piece in a context which is a lot more relaxed, I think, and user friendly on some level, even though a Fringe thing is not, it's definitely user friendly. But the Bowie thing was really like about an intimate community of people, and think that takes away some of the stakes on some level too. But yeah, it was mostly dancing. I mean, there were like 4 acapella moments, 5. The rest of it was, and so I had to step up to the plate acrobatically, but Van was moving all over with me and things that we just like decided, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. And now this show is a mixture of all of those things. And but it's true. I'm not saying the acro is, again, not taking a back burner, but it's something that like it's there, and I know that I can do these things, and so that's part of it. But one of the exciting things is that he keeps pushing me. I give a lot of pushback too.
I think on the process note for me, like this show is sort of not, I don't know. I think like I've been really taking a much more expansive view of process for this project. Like in some ways this is like a 7 or 8 year project, like that, and the process has been one of like really getting to know each other through creative practice and exchange, but also enjoying and benefiting from every element of relationship and network and community that has come from that. And I think as we think about what it means to make work and why we're sharing it, like our future visions and hopes for what this project is do become much more about like, oh yeah, how is it possible to use all of these things that we're talking about, dance, acrobatics, theater, whatever, to not as like a necessarily even an end product, but to just say, this is the way that we're coming together. This is the way that I've been able to build a relationship, which
how do we communicate?
and I cherish you in my life in this way. I feel so grateful and so lucky to have gotten to know you in a studio for the first time and through art projects, but now to have you as this really important figure in my life that I honestly would never have, known and for any other reason. And so I think like, yes, we're also just thinking about an honest sort of portrayal of what is actually between us in terms of energy, in terms of our relationship as the content of the piece. And then I think when you think about it like that, it becomes really broad.
So that, for me, my response to that is also that it's taught me a lot about, it's about getting to know somebody. That is really what it is, because we started off just sort of like, I like you from afar. I don't know anything about you, and not much, but you're simpatico to me, and those are for me unexplainable feelings. And then you can go down and say, oh, of course, why? It's because they have an openness of a certain kind, et cetera, et cetera. But I never go looking for the reasons why. There's certain symmetries between people for no reason, even people you've just met, where it's just you have this real feeling about, Then there's the physicality of that and all the self-discovery for me, which has been a real eye-opener. On a professional level, and I really have to look at myself and say these truths, I have learned so much more about, in a career full of dance, I actually have done very little, except in certain concentrated periods, partnering work of this kind, but even of any kind. Yes, I teach ballroom. I can talk about ballroom partnering. This is another fish.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is about trust. And I'm surprised, I'm just shocked myself about how much I thought I was trusting, that I'm actually, my body physically saying, no, you're really not trusting, and that's just something to reflect on, because that's, I have to keep reminding myself, you're not really you're not really giving. Some of the tricks, yes. I guess it's the oldest ones, the ones I'm more comfortable with. I don't think about it and everything, but every time it's a challenge for me.
Yeah.
And that's been a self eye opener. So, that's something I've had to contend with, just like finding that, discovering that about myself.
Yeah.
and really being able to really having to depend on somebody. And those are hard. They're hard. It's a hard acquiescing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a very like, especially these like lessons that are in our bodies are
Yeah.
hard. It's hard. You can't reason with them. You can't like contend with them on a rational kind of level. So they're sort of like a different beast.
Some of it is muscle memory too. Like, I mean, I'm coming at this, like, who starts acro at like 69? You know, yeah, I mean, I was little, but that there's also that, not making any excuses, but some of it is like the distance of forgetting.
Mm.
And like, I don't have that advantage of like, oh, 40 years have passed, but I remember this. I don't remember any of this. I mean, I remember courtyard, background, I mean, playground antics and everything, and doing crazy
Yeah.
stuff. But like everybody did when they're a kid, you know. But then there's this jump period, that happened, and I didn't do another cartwheel. I didn't do another, you know.
Yeah.
And coming back to it is more than a notion, you know. And now figuring out like how to get around that hump and do something else instead that is worthy. And, you know, I can be proud of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotion behind this too, and I guess like you can call it psychology, like you know, getting my brain quiet enough.
But I do think all of that really is the content of the piece. Like, it's so funny to be like, we have this concept with this book, which, and the piece is in some ways is inspired by and is an adaptation of this book, and we're thinking about those concepts, but really, like, the piece is about that. Like,
Yeah.
really what is seen
It is about that.
is about, you know, trust and effort and an older body on top of a younger body, and a younger body that's much heavier on top of an older body, and like, you know, and like just everything that is in that, and not trying to let those things be, you know, incidental, but to just like,
Yeah.
just be what is being experienced.
Yeah.
And
It's about vulnerability and being comfortable with that too, you know. I'm sure there are easier ways to tackle these questions than what we're doing.
Art was never the easy answer.
Yeah.
No, it's certainly a joyful one and fun, a lot of fun. And also, I've met so many people, so many different people through working, just by working with Ben.
Yeah.
And maybe not so much by, he already knows everyone I know.
Well, I'm like a fan of your family, you know, like, and I feel like I feel so great. I don't know. I feel like I know your family.
He does. And this is, so the side story of this is,
Yeah.
so the book that the show is based on, it was written in 1901. And it's a book of exercises for, it's really helpful hints for health and strength for busy people. And I have both of my parents still.
Yeah.
My mother is 103, and my dad will be 104, September the 2nd.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of this is close to heart for me on some level. My father's not like a Jack LaLanne person or anything, but my mom does exercises in bed. She's got better abs than I do. But there's something about working with this that keeps me connected to them too.
Yeah.
Some level. And, you know, in our first pieces, we even use text that when my kids come for dinner, I open my voice recorder, just put my phone on the refrigerator, just leave it open,
Yeah.
mic. And then we used snippets of some of the conversations in the first work we did together. And I like having my family with me on stage.
Yeah.
Or I can say one other thing before going down that rabbit hole. We did at the Fringe in April. I fell at the beginning of the performance from a too high. And that hadn't happened. It was the first performance that we'd ever done, no?
Oh, the Too High, yeah. The other one was filmed, yeah.
And it was the evening of the same day that my mom fell and broke her femur.
Yeah.
And so I think I was in a very unsettled place,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then I just, you know, that taught me a lesson. It's like, get over it, learn how to just like, okay, really focused and this is not. And even if something happens, something happens, you know, so like that. Learned a lot about it. I'm a great faller, know how to fall.
Yeah.
And some great falling lessons. Yeah. So yeah, that and also taking risks and all of that. It's all about that on stage and off stage in real life, and you know, translating things. And it's true. This is something that started like this thing. I didn't think it was going to become something else. Then it became something else, and it seems like this door is just like opening to like who knows what the next. Well, we kind of have an idea about the next evolution of this, but it's a secret.
We could probably talk about it.
You think we can talk about
I
it?
think we can.
You think we should?
We don't have to.
But
We can keep it a secret just for fun.
I was interested in, you said that in translation. I was curious, do you mean, is it like translations of previous versions of the thing? Does it feel like each new step in the process is a translation of a previous step, or?
I think the more we were working together with the same like framework, the more the frame is like shifting and we're discovering what this piece was actually really all about, you know, and throwing out some of the things that no longer are necessary. They're always there to put back in or to reshape on some level. We're also looking at other versions of this piece and finding that the new things we've made are always speaking to those things anyway, because on some level, they've replaced them because they become more cogent and more clear. So we found a better way to do it. You know. Also, I don't know. There's a lot of lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, working on this piece is there's something to be said also about being consistent. And also discovering lots of things about my character. I am a procrastinator. I don't like doing things regularly. It's like this is not the kind of mindset you need to have to do
Right.
acrobatics. But that's why I don't consider myself an acrobat. I'm learning these things, but I'm not an acrobat. I'm a person that can do some things and is willing to try.
Yeah.
That's enough for me, you know.
It makes me think about, when we're kids on the playground, that's sort of all that kids require is to be able to try. And I had this, when you were talking about that, I had this memory of like doing so many backflips on trampolines as a kid.
Yeah.
And it just occurred to me like one day I was like, that's like in my body somewhere deep in the past. I can't imagine like doing that off the cuff right now, but it's sort of wild to think about these memories that we have.
I've been thinking a lot about acrobatics, like also as like just the relationship between like craft, discipline, inhibition, and like disinhibition, because it is like, it's like actually as adults you need to do so much work to keep your body ready to do the things that it wants to do if it were uninhibited, right? And like to train that ability to be ready to like push your edge or push your limit, that as a kid we think about doing. It's like psychologically like trying to return to some sense of the inner child, but with your body, right? Like how can you do the things that you imagine yourself doing? And it's such an interesting and kind of, I don't know, complicated discipline, because it takes so much rigor and it takes so much time, like staring at the floor, staring at the ceiling, like doing things that are uncomfortable in order to be able to achieve that sense of freedom again. And I don't know, there's just something that's poetic, but also, daunting.
And you said something earlier, Ben, about how if you were more in shape, you would have gone for this a call. There was a call.
No, if I had been in training more rigorously in the last few years.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that comment, and I was listening from the side, that was like, I'm not going to say I was jealous of that comment. That's not the right word, but that's absolute truth. Before he goes, let me just do some push-ups and then I'll be ready to like lift over my head. He gets on the floor, does about 15, then does some other crazy things, and then says, okay, I'm ready, For me to come back to a dance piece, even like, I did a music video last summer and this and that, and I'm dealing with multiple issues like knees, bone on bone, et cetera, et cetera. So finding alternate way, like how do I get around that? And what do I do? But that's my skill set. It's a dance studio. I'm going to do my thing. It might be a little smaller on the lower half of my body, but you're not going to notice that. So that's my skill. He's got that skill. He can just go back to his acrobatics. I don't have that muscle memory of acro. So that's been an added layer of, I'm not going to say that it's been a hindrance. It's just been the reality of what it means.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it hinders. It follows me every day, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm in much more pain when I'm not doing when I'm not in the studio, just doing my regular quotidian thing. And I think this probably is something that I psychologically need to say, I'm still alive. I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do it. I can do a little bit of it, you know. Or I'm going to try at least, you know. And that's been good for my inner self too, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the audience is thinking about, but you know, and also coming to terms with being the, like, I'm not going to say the what not to do version, but I'm not going to say the crippled version. That's not the right word either. But it's kind of, you know, going from looking at this fabulous dancer, like someone saying, someone that is up noting you notice on stage, being noticed for other reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being noticed in another way. And that's a conversation around aging in general.
Yeah.
And leaving behind what was behind and moving forward, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And coming to terms with that.
Especially, I imagine, I don't know, yeah, as a performing artist where so much of your experience is like clocking the perceptions that people have of you. It's crazy how much they change over the years. Yeah.
Well, I also am dealing with, not so much in this show, but this idea of how little do I have to do to get my point across? Like what as especially as you age, what can you do to make that point? And how, I don't know, how big can I make my body? How intense can I make my body? How intentional can my every move be so that I don't have to do a zillion things? And maybe this is something that people 20 should be asking themselves too, you know?
I mean, yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of thought about like what are the tools at my disposal? What are each of these tools doing? I was just talking the last interview I did with Taj, where he was talking a lot about just like, you know, what is the process of not just like living the life, but how much reflection you put into it, or how much you identify what the beats are, what the various shifts are, certainly like self-reflection.
I feel, I was talking to a friend recently, and there's that idea that like as artists we are forced to, but also get to live our lives at these edges, you know, in ways that maybe most other people don't always get to
make a lot more money than we do.
Yeah, they just make a lot more money than we do. But like, it feels like that question of like how it's such a foundational one to like performance craft of like, is the way I am feeling internally the way I'm being perceived externally is like such a, you know, just a basic kind of thing, I think, of like it's a basic performance skill, but it's also like one that I feel, I don't know that I feel less and less connected to, but I think I feel less and less like being in control of that as an author of a piece is like necessarily the thing that I'm after anymore. Like I think like when you are standing on my shoulders, when you're like up there, right? Like that is a real thing that is happening between us. And I think there are lots of other real things that are happening between us, and to let that be witnessed and to let that be just taken
thing.
However it wants to be taken, right? I actually can't control,
you have no control
anyone
over
else's opinion or like thoughts around it.
Yeah.
So what I can do is just be curious about the experience that I'm having, the experience that we're having, what is happening to us, you know?
Yeah. There's no bandwidth to really worry about that. I've got things I'm trying to think about. Like, it's not
I'm on top of someone.
Yeah.
Oh God, how did I get here? How do I get down?
Yeah, yeah.
So just trust the process or trust the craft.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is that he just have to believe what he says because he knows what he's talking about. And there, for some reason, my brain is like, no, and it's actually. So when I actually finally something like some little chain link of like disbelief, like let go, and then that thing suddenly worked. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that I wasted all this time. And that trust thing is in flux.
Yeah, yeah. There's I remember vague memories of Alexander technique from undergrad, and I remember one of the lines in his book was that he can't teach anyone his technique. He has to like place them in the position of it, because it's only by placing the body in that position that they will understand what that feeling of that new position is.
Yeah.
Something like that. That was interesting.
There's also something, and this is going to be maybe my crazy take on things, but we've become so politically correct on so many levels, and that because of this political correctness, missed so many wonderful opportunities to actually have real conversations about things. So I'm getting there. This is very direct. I'm getting there. There's something so hands-on about acro.
Yeah.
That the opposite of that is, I said this to Ben, I'm going to give you, like, even when someone came to critique and give us some comments about the work, they came to a rehearsal and they're like, I know you have your process and everything, and I don't want to step on your toes. I don't want, you might not be thinking this way, and I don't want to, I understand if you can stop me anytime you want to. I would never want to offend. And I love the gentleness and the being so careful, but like, tell me what you want to tell me, touch me, grab my shoulder and say, I need to feel it here. And I miss I've never stopped touching people. I mean, yeah, during COVID, but like, if you're going to hug, you got to hug somebody. If you're going to touch, you have to feel. I'm not touching your cheek and having my butt out on second, something about the close physical contact, that's the realness of it. Something about the roughness or the amount of force that some things take to actually do, to look like it takes no force whatsoever. The balancing between those two things, I get wrapped up into that too.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like Rhonda is like, when I hear you say what you say about political correctness blocking real conversations from happening, I mean, I think so much about your every day when you come in, you tell me about the Uber driver that you had a conversation with, right? And I feel so inspired by you. And I also feel like there's something that I can't access, right? That you somehow are brave enough and curious enough and outgoing enough and just genuinely wanting to connect with people enough that I feel like for some reason I feel generationally or maybe just in my body, like if I'm with an Uber driver that's from a completely different place, you were talking about like not even speaking the same language, but being able to like make rhythms with an Uber driver who doesn't even speak English. And I think that those things are real. Like that is a really connected way to go through life. And I'm always inspired by you in watching the ways that you just have a different way of being than I have. And I think that's one of the things that's so lovely about working together is that like I get access to that and I get inspired by it. And, maybe that's a really simple thing to say, but I think it's a really simple piece that we're making. I think I think that like that is what it's about, right? It's about you and I and like the ways in which we see each other and feel about each other and
this is the message, and it's also poses the question to people who are watching us to ask that question about themselves and their lives. Like this last one was from, I told you he was from another, not Istan, he wasn't from Uzbekistan, another Istan, my Uber driver, and I went right there with him. I was like, okay, I need to, what's your playlist? Your music, I need to hear. But he was so delighted. Halfway along, he didn't speak. We were like making signs. I kept saying, Mom and Dad, your parents, Mommy, Dad. We like, but what touched me, what I recognized at that moment was, he said this music was from 2000, and he said, I said, it's old, it's like 25 years old. He goes, I grew up, my parents. So this is the music that, and it's pretty funky music, you know, Arabic beats to it and everything. But then I realized what was delightful, because something about the back of his neck changed. And I think it was like the sheer delight that someone could be interested in wanting to know something about something that took him back in time too. Like being seen.
Yeah.
Something about being seen, you know? That really, I was like, wow, no one's probably ever asked a question of this. I don't know. And you're not supposed to, I don't talk to everyone. I really don't talk to everybody. I could. And there's some people I don't want to talk to. But yeah, like that thing and making people feel edifying people and, you know, like giving them their thunders moment. Like, you know, that to me was what that was all about. It's just, and I have such a rich playlist of beautiful music in different languages.
Yeah.
It's just, my thing is like, how am I ever going to use this music? We're just going to have a big party.
Yeah.
Big party.
I keep like your description of just like the neck too, for some reason is sticking with me. I feel like there's something about the walls that we sort of, if we're just like default in the world, we sort of put up a certain amount of walls around. We're like this, I take up this much space. My music takes up this much space. It stops at my skin. And then if someone invites us like that, it sort of like starts to just seep out a little more.
I think it's like, let us find what our common language is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think about Camille Brown's, you know, African American social dances and that delicious 6-minute TED talk that starts out with, "This is the bop." And, you know, it goes through my entire semester of Jazz Center in America in 6 minutes, what I teach over the course of a semester.
Yeah.
Because it studies the development of jazz and music and dance from the time of the slave trade, Portland, until today. And it's a general education class that's not for dance majors. So I have people from all different walks of life that do this course. But in the video, she says at the end about social dance, it's not, but social dance are all dances of resistance, but physical movement is a sign of resistance because it celebrates the body in space. It celebrates you in the space, you know. And at the end of this video, she goes, we celebrate. And why do we dance? We dance because to say we are here and we are free. And it just, that's, and that refers to everybody.
Yeah.
To everybody, you know. And I think this is what my mission has been since the last election. To use my personal power to sounds like a line from one band.
A line from what?
To put you in a condition.
Oh yeah. From the book. From the book.
From the book. Put you in condition to go through your day with ease and pleasure.
No, but I mean, yeah, when I hear you say that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go.
You wrote this question that was like, what's some lesson that an artist that you know has inspired you by? And it's just, yeah, I don't know, the essentialness of it, I don't know, it's easy, I think, for me as a young artist in parts of my career to get really kind of like caught up in like lots of things that ultimately do not get at the essential thing that we're trying to do, which is to be like, we have bodies. Like I worked for a while for Eiko Otake, who's a dancer and choreographer, and is a very beautiful artist, and you know,
even older than I am.
Slightly. She talks about the face that Rhonda is making at me. You'll just have to buy a ticket to see. But
payback is a bitch.
Aiko, when she talks about her process, she's like, well, the body is the only thing that can never be taken away from you, actually, and I think about that a lot now. And it is that it's the only thing that in certain circumstances you can have a degree of autonomy over. And, it's horrible when that is taken away, but to be working in a medium that is, investigating that, celebrating that, cherishing that, and just allowing that to be, I don't know, seen and meditated on.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of idea, I think. It's like, yeah, it is about freedom. It's about potential also, and to build something, to create a world, I don't know, between you and I, the things that we can do together that are unique. No other two bodies are going to do it like that.
I think we should add the limbo.
Yeah. we should add the limbo.
We should add the limbo. It's also for the reaction, and this is one of the things I absolutely love. I realize that there's a lot of tension in the room when I go up to, there's a lot of tension inside my body that I'm trying to just transfer to the room so I am chill. But I know that first moment, I don't think about it, but I know that it's just like, it's full of tension because of what it looks like.
Right.
And that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie about that. That was I think my first times it was just sheer terror. And now the terror is gone. I'm not saying I'm being lackadaisical or nonchalant, but I have hints. I've been given hints about what to do, and we practice, The things that I did from a longer time ago are the smoothest things and things get smoother every day. That's also, I guess, transferable to life.
That's beautiful. I want to ask if there's any sort of last thoughts that either of you have on that you want to share with the audiences that are coming out to see the show.
I guess, only that one of the things that we've been talking about a lot is just, why are we drawn to this book from 1901? And I don't know, just this idea of busyness is so, it's so interesting to me, right? That like a lot of what it could be written in 1901 could be found nearly verbatim, slightly updated language, but on Instagram now. And there's there's this idea that we always conceive of ourselves as human beings as being like the busiest we've ever been.
Right.
And that could be true, but it's also, it's a way of thinking about your life that has to do with the socioeconomic conditions of the time. And I do think that there's a lot of similarity between 1901 and now. And I think that there's this, a relationship to labor in that is like really interesting to talk about, and also to be like making a dance piece about, because it's like, again, it's like these things that are like not productive in a capitalist sense. Like we're spending a lot of time and effort, and it's not, there's no, there's nothing that is created. There's no service that's being made that can like help make someone else more money. Right. And so, I think like we begin to think about strength and health as like these really holistic things that don't just like necessarily just re-emulate what those ideas might mean on first blush in popular culture, or like it's not about six packs and it's not about muscles. It is about like, I feel stronger and healthier as a person when I get to connect with somebody who's a generation older than me, who has a lot of wisdom and experience, who's not one of my parents, like those
but
things
it's the same age as your parents.
But it's the same age as my parents, but like that's something that makes my life and my community healthier and stronger. And I think we I'm just curious to continue those conversations with all kinds of people who come to see the show and who maybe will be eventually bringing into a slightly larger scale project.
I agree, and I will say that this work like this has, in some unconscious way, bled its way. It was always there, but it's made me notice it. I went to my daughter's wife's annual birthday crab bake that she has all in Collins, there, wherever, Delaware County.
Yeah.
And my daughter and Ben are the same age. And also all these people that are at the bar. But that's why I spent more time with Brianna than I did with her mom. And I'm in the middle of all these generations and everything. And so I kind of like, it feels like to be in this like privileged position because of what I do as an artist also. Those people that were at the crab cake, they came to the Bowie. One woman came to the Fringe thing and she asked about the next performance. If I told her it was at the Drake. I mean, it was just like they remember, like they remember the Stick. I walk anywhere and someone says, "Oh, I've seen the Stick before." But like leading in artists in life, it's the show and what the show's intentions are already being fulfilled when I'm not in the studio, when I'm not on stage, in my family life, with my family and friends. And I think it's really a blessing and an honor to be able to surf like that through more than one generation. Even like with the people that are with Ari and Laura, who've been so helpful in rehearsal, these students. Of course, I'm not trying to say there's not a generational gap, but it's not the thing that puts a wall there. And that's really so, like, what a relief, that it's not. No, I'm not trying to be young. No, I'm not. I couldn't even be good at it, but this is how I am. This is how I always was. And this is probably how it will always be. Even with being able to do less and less and less and less and less. My character is not going to change. I hope, if anything, it will be enlightened and enriched. That's all.
Thank you again to Ben and Rhonda for speaking with me about your work. And thank you to you, our listeners, for listening. Helpful Hints for Strength and Health for Busy People runs September 23rd, 26th, and 27th at the Louis Bluver Theater at the Drake.